God started with us, we lose perspective of where we're heading. And today I would like to affirm to you that I've not lost my perspective. I remember where I started and where God started with me, where He is with me right now, and where I'm heading. I was not privileged to be born in a Christian family. My dad and mom, they never went to school, they don't know how to read. And while with them, everything was okay until the age of 6, because my country went through a lot of, there are many issues because of the political instability, the civil war in the country. And I lost my parents to war, both of them, mom and dad. And at that time, I didn't really understand that maybe God was really doing something big for me. I didn't understand. I complained. I was asking myself, God, why would you do this to me while I'm still sick? How will I make it in life? I was really worried. I spent 2 years staying at home, and the fight broke up again. And when the war started, we were running in different directions, seeking refuge. If we could be helped, I was running with different people. And that's when I landed in the hand of the Red Cross, people from Red Cross. I think some of you might know Red Cross is our organization. So they helped me, and they took me to a government refugee camp where many refugees were taken. And in the camp, I was eager to learn because we were told education is the key to life and is the light to everything. So I need to get that light. But I didn't have any opportunity to go to school because people have to study in grade 3. It was a way of reducing the number of people who go to school because there were many refugee students and there were few schools, and there was only one school where you need to pay some registration fee. It was 200 Kenyan shillings, like $2. But that I was 9 years, I couldn't afford it. So I tried to talk to the school principal, but I didn't give me a chance to go to school to learn. So I looked for a way of learning because people used to learn under trees. There was a chalkboard, something like this. It's children, they just painted on a tree and then they would write on it. But from a distance, like 50 meters away, I can see what is written on the board. So I will see, and then I'll try to write some of the ground. C, A, B, C. And I did that for 2 years, and I learned how to write because I would check with the student who go to school in the evening. And I went to school and asked the principal if he could give me a chance to do the exam. And if I passed, they should try to consider me for any aid that might be at the school. And he was like, this is crazy idea, no one has ever done that. You have never been to school. How can I give you an exam? But I keep pressing to chase me away. And I keep learning from a distance. So I call myself a distant learner. Think from a distance and learn what was on the board. Then I came back again. One day, he decided to give me a chance to do it. And actually I did well. He gave me math and English, which was more grammar, and I got 195 over 200. And it was like, you're doing well than some of the students in class, so I will give you a chance. That's how I got my chance to be at the school, which was God grace. He gave me that ability of learning and being self-motivated. So I learned, and I believe the best way I could do, the best way I can help myself to go to the next stage is by working hard so that I may get a scholarship to go to high school. But I didn't know that God has a different plan for me other than what I was thinking. So I worked hard and I became a top student in that school. I applied for the available opportunities. I got into one, but because of rampant corruption which was in the region, my person was sold to one of the students who paid $100. So I cried again, I feel bad. And I asked God again why, because I don't really understand why this thing will keep happening in my life. So I looked for another alternative, trying to play basketball, and actually that's what God wanted me to do. So I played basketball, and after 3 months of practicing, I got a scholarship to one of the prestigious high schools in the country, which was my dream school. And I went to Kakamega High School. I studied there for 4 years, and after 4 years, I graduated from high school. I had good grades, which can take me to college, but I didn't have the hope of going to university because I didn't know any other available opportunity. So I went back to the camp, and when I went back to Kakuma refugee camp, I saw the need for education. There were many young people who really wanted to learn, who are really eager to learn and change their lives. So I see it as an opportunity because I have been to one of the schools and I can teach. So I volunteer in one of the high school where I used to teach for free. I will go to school from 6 a.m. and teach until 6 p.m. That's when I will go back home. And I was not paid. So I teach for 2 months. And in my 3rd month of teaching at that school, I saw a certain lady in one afternoon. There was one lady who was coming to recruit some people. She's from Bridge to run a scholars program. And I saw her standing, and I was even to ask, no, what is she looking for? Because people were afraid to talk to her because they don't know English. So they were just using different routes. So I went straight to her and I asked her, how may I help you? And she said, I don't need help. She's looking for people who are interested in Bridge to run. And she only has 1 minute to close the door where she's interviewing people, and she's only left with 1 seat in the room for only 1 student. So if I'm interested, I should get in and take the test. As soon as I went in and did the interview, the TOEFL readings, like that's the interview, that's what we're doing the first writing exam. So I got in and did the exam. And we were told we will hear from them after 2 weeks. So I did everything. I came back the next day for behavioral interviews, and I went back home. Then 2 weeks passed. And one thing I did during that interview, I prayed when I got in. I was not prepared for the interview. So I sit down and I ask God. And I remember the prayer I said on that day. I said, Lord, you know each one of us in this room. You know everything we went through, and you know who need this opportunity and who want this opportunity. So Lord, if it belongs to me, give it to me. And if it belongs to somebody else, give it to the person, and I will still give thanks to you. That was my prayer. And when I stopped praying, people started laughing at me. They thought I was scared of the interview, or maybe I don't know what I was doing, because I was not really prepared. I didn't know what was going on. But God brought me from nowhere to do it, even if I was not informed. So I waited for 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, I was not called. So I was distressed. And then I remember God is in control. I went back to my room and prayed. I said, Lord, I know I've not heard from the people back from Bridge to Rwanda. Maybe someone got it, but I'm still thankful that you give me a chance to try it. And actually, that was the day I was going to receive the good news. And after I finished praying, my neighbor came with the phone, because it was her phone number which I gave at the interview. I didn't have a phone by that time. That someone is calling, and she had my name, because someone said, hello, may I speak to my young? And when she heard the name, she ran to my house and gave me the phone. That's when I received the news that I will be leaving in 2 days to go to Rwanda. I will attend the program, and then after a year, I'll come to the US. Which was a big thing that God did. And it reminded me of what God has been doing. So I waited for 2 days. I went and printed out my itinerary, the ticket for the plane, and my acceptance letter. And that night I couldn't sleep. I was so excited that I'm going somewhere. So I put everything under my pillow. And after every 5 minutes, I would just check it if the document are still there. I was really excited until the next morning. That's when I witnessed that actually I was so excited about the treasure that I already have. See, it's not going anywhere, but I was really excited, and I will just keep checking it. And I realized it was something God brought earlier. He already created that, because he said in Jeremiah 29 verse 11, he said in the book of Jeremiah, Lord said that I know the plans I have for you. Not plans for destruction, but plans for your prosperity. So I know that opportunity which was there, God created it, and it was there before. And I would like to affirm to you that today, God has given us that treasure. God has given us power, has given us fruit of the Holy Spirit as sons and daughters of the Most High King as we are here today. And it's up to us to realize and know that we have those treasures, we have power. Even if we don't believe that we are forgiven, when we don't believe that we are competent, when we don't believe that we have authority over demons and Satan, devil is going to believe. Devil knows the power of the Most High King. And we are going to see that in the book of Mark. In the book of Mark chapter 1, verse 21 to 28. But I'll read from Mark 1, 24 to 26. You see, I think all of us remember the story of the man who has an unclean spirit, right? You can see from 24. It said, what do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know you are the Holy One of God. You see, the man had the Spirit in him, and when Jesus was there, you know Jesus who he is, right? He knows. So it's a reminder that even when we don't know Jesus, when we don't see his presence in our life, Satan already knows who Jesus actually is. He knows his power. And you see, that's why he was trembling, asking him, Jesus, like, what have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Right? Asking him, he knows, it was fear. If Jesus has come to destroy them, because he knows he's the Son of the Most High King, he's the Son of God. They will know. So I've been given the power. We have power that the Lord has given us. We are privileged Christians who really know God, and it's up to us to identify that treasure and open the drawers and pull out the treasure that we have. Because God has given us power to do a lot of things. He has given us power to heal the sick. He has given us power to cast out demons. So it's up to us to know that the Lord is always there for us. To know what God is doing and not being stressed. And knowing that treasure, when God gave me to go to Bridge Rwanda, didn't stop there. God is still working in my life because I know God is there. When if I don't see his presence during that time, God is always there. When I Bridge Rwanda, I meet with a group of friends. We still pray, we pray together, we do evangelical work like preaching the word of God. And in 2020, that's when we were supposed to do our interviews for the visas, to get the visa to come to the United Nations, to come to the United States of America, sorry. And that's when the COVID came, and everything was closed. All the embassies were closed. Then in Rwanda, where I was, and we were not sure if we would make it to come to school back home. So we kept praying, and in July, day 25, 2020, I received an email that the embassy was only open for students to get the visas, which was really a big miracle which God did. And God didn't stop there. Even when I was here, God is still working. And when I saw the song that was playing today, you have been so good to me. God has been really so good. He has been really amazing Father. He has been really faithful. And I would like to remind us today that God is always there. He's asked to remember his work in our life. He's asked to sometimes to remember and know him that he's already there. And we live a purpose-driven life. You don't really need to stress because God is always there. You know, to come here and getting internship was really a big struggle. I remember this semester, it was really a big struggle applying for internships. I applied to more than 200. Now I've done it back. None of them read back, but applying to me. Till one day I was really stressed, and I sit down again, and I remind myself, everything I've been doing it with God. And all those 200, I never prayed for any of them, I just submit them. So after submitting 200, I remember that God is there, but if I ask him. So I submitted 2 applications, one to Zendesk and one to the Bank of America. And before I submit them, I prayed. And the next day, the 2 companies where I applied, they reached back to me to do assessment tests. I prayed again and I did the assessment test, and I made it to the 2 finals. And fortunately, after I did all the interviews, I got an offer from the Bank of America to work in the summer as a data analyst, which is one of the things which God did. And it's a reminder that everything you do, put God first. God is going to bless it. Because it says in the book of Mark that everything which is impossible with man is possible with God. It's a God of miracles. It's a God of miracles. So it's up to us to surrender everything into His hands, and He's going to bless it. We all know the story of David, right? We remember David. He fight Goliath. They were not equivalent like in size, right? That's why he was really a giant. David didn't come with any sword. He didn't come with guns. Just came with a small rock, small stones. But he had the king bind him. He no Lord in his mind. So even with the small stone that he had, he was able to kill Goliath, to knock him down. Because God is still with him. So if we put everything in the hands of God and trust in God and live a purpose-driven life, God is going to use us. God is going to use us. And it's shared. Now we are like privileged because we are really saved. We need to share what God has done to us. Don't stay with the light. I think we remember the parable of light, like ball and light, where you don't need to put the light under the table or cover it. You need to put on the table so that it leaves the old place. We need to share the power of God. When how I got saved, as I said earlier, it was not through my family. It was just through one friend. It was a friend that I met back in grade 5. She used to talk to me every day, reminded me about God. She used to tell me, if you put God first, everything will be okay. Just put your hope in God and know that God has plans for you. That's what my friend used to tell me. Then one day she asked me if I could come to a church just to listen to what they were preaching. And I said, okay, let me give it a try. So I went to church 3 times. And actually I ended up liking what was being preached. And then a year later, I received a conviction. I started feeling it, that God is there. And that's how I started following God from grade 5. And it was through a friend. So if you hear something, practice your faith by saving others. Practice your faith by saving others and put everything in the hands of God, and everything will be okay. And thank you so much for coming. May God bless you.
Meny, why don't we take a few minutes and let them ask you questions?
Yes?
If anybody has questions, they can ask you.
Okay, so if any of you have a question, you may ask them. I have a question.
Would you give us like a short version of your story, how you met God?
Pardon?
How you met God?
How I met God. Okay, how I met God was through a friend. Before I knew God, I was really stressed. Like I would be stressed sometimes, but I never put everything in His hands. Until I met one of my friends who used to talk to me that nothing is accident, like happened by accident. Everything which are going through, I don't know, you being here today, it was planned by God that you'll be here today. So I met God through my friend because she speaks to me about God. She didn't keep the message to herself, but she shared the message with me. And that's how I got to learn about God, and I stick to calling the process. So God called me using my friend. Thank you. Is there any other person with a question?
I do. Okay, I don't need a mic. So, so the catalyst for you to come to America was that test you took, correct? The catalyst for you to come to America was that test. You had to take that test in order to be for the program, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you explain to them what happened when you went into that classroom, and how basically you got in there with less than like it was basically you either got in there and it was actually the right timing that you approached this girl, and then what happened when you got in there, you didn't have anything to write with. Why don't you explain that a little bit?
Okay, I think how I got into that is I think it's I would say it is due to God's sovereignty, like God's power. You see, there were only 26 people needed during that day, and there were only 25 people in the room. There was only one seat. And the test was supposed to start at 2, and I talked to the lady at 1:59. There was only 1 minute. So I asked her if she needed help. And it was God who sent me. There were many people around, but they never went to her. But God told me from a distance to go to her and ask how may I help her. And she replied back, she doesn't need help. She's looking for people who are interested in the program. And that's when she asked me my grade, and I told her. She was like, actually, you did well. That's what we're looking for. And please get it, because there were many other people coming. And she didn't want to have a hard choice who to take in, because it would not be fair. So she took me in and closed the door. And I didn't have anything. I didn't have a pen. I just sit down and I prayed first. Then I was given answer paper where I should put my answers. It was put on my desk. I didn't have a pen. So I raised up my hand again and asked the interviewer if she could lend me a pen. So people laugh again. Because I should be prepared, come to that room prepared. But the interviewer didn't mind. She gave me a pen. And it was actually a pencil. And I was really nervous. I was also shivering. And when I tried to write, I broke the tip of the pencil. Yeah. I was stressed again. I sit down. Then I raise up my hand, and the people start laughing again. Because they know I was the source of entertainment on that day. So I asked for the sharpener. I tried to sharpen the pencil. Because I was also shivering, I keep breaking it until I sharpened the old pencil. I sharpened everything, and I raised up my hand again. And when the interviewer laughed at me, he was laughing, and then she asked me, what again? I gave you the sharpener and the pencil. What do you need? Then I looked down and I said, oh God. Then I said, okay, give me your pen. And she was surprised, and then she gave me a pen. So I did the exam, and I went home. After I left, I didn't talk to anyone because I feel ashamed. Like the drama which has been happening in the room, I couldn't afford standing in front of anyone of them. So I left and I went outside the island. So I went home, and I kept praying. I said, God, I know there's a lot of mistakes which happened in the room, but I know you got me. That's the prayer I did after. And when I didn't hear back from them after 2 weeks with the promise, I just knew it, the answer that I've lost. But actually, God was still timing. It was God timing. And the next day, when I prayed to thank Him, if someone else got it, that's the time I received the call. It was like 5 minutes after I finished praying, that's when I received the call. So I link it back to God timing. That God timing is the best. So I came 1 minute to actual time, and I was the last person to enter the room, and the last person to get a pen because I didn't have a pen. But God actually made it possible. Yeah. So it's God. It's all God. Yeah.
Tell us how you found your family again.
Okay, after I went to the camp, as I said earlier, like there was a war and we were running in different directions. I got help to get to the refugee camp, and by that time I didn't have a phone. Also my siblings didn't have a phone. So I stayed in the refugee camp for 13 years without knowing where my siblings were. So I was just in the camp, studying, trying it hard, trying to make all ends meet. But I didn't know my sibling. My only hope was on the only God. I prayed that God, I know you know where my siblings are, but I submitted them into your hands. Just protect them until when I'll be in a position to help my siblings. And in 2019, I got a scholarship to Rwanda. I didn't know where they were till I came back. I came to the US. Here I finished my first semester. And then in the spring semester, I decided to search for people on on Facebook. I said the name of the people in my village. If there's any of our noise on Facebook. So I said the name and I found one of them. And I text the person, hey, do you know Dan Magan? That's the name of my father. I said, yeah, like I know him. Like we're in the same village. But he passed away a long time ago. And I said, yeah, that's my dad. Do you know where his children are, where they're staying? And then it's like, yeah, you know them, but they're in different places back home. I was like, okay, I will send you money in May. I was sent to him in January. And I told the person I was sending money in May to go home and search for them and bring them together. So we agreed, and then I kept working on campus until May, and then I sent him some money to go and meet my siblings, and he took a picture of them and sent it to me. I didn't believe my eyes, but I see how my siblings were living. But the only thing I was thankful that they were alive. That's the thing I was really appreciating. And the summer of that year, 2021, I went home. And I took 3 of my siblings, because I couldn't afford all of them to pay the fare to come to Kenya. So I paid for 3, and I made 3 of them first. And then this year I went back and sent 2 of them with a main bag, went to come, and I bought a place for them where they could stay in Kakumari refugee camp. And I'm able to talk to them after almost 14 years. But God protected them. And now, like, they believe in God. I preached to them about God. I told them, they didn't even believe when they saw me, because they knew I was dead. That's what they know. And when they see me, they were not believing. But some of them, one of them fainted when she saw me, she fainted. Because there was a long period of time. But God did it again. Yeah. Thank you. Is there anyone who have another question? Just ask anything. Okay, Claire. Do you need a mic or?
No. I don't know why this is like the first question that came to mind, and it's honestly kind of dumb, but I'm really curious. What was your favorite food when you got to America?
Okay. I think when I came here, everything was really a struggle because everything was really new to me, starting with the culture, the language, and the food. Yeah. So the food I like, I think it was rice, like it's a soul bowl, like from Chipotle. Yeah. And I'm still eating it until today. It's a new virus, so I'll just go and eat it. That's my meat. That's what I eat. Because it's a bit similar to what I used to eat. Thank you for asking. Yeah. Another person? Ask anything. Anything you would like to ask. Okay.
Do you still play basketball at UMass?
Yeah, I still play basketball. Yeah. You play basketball too? I think we should try one more. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll wait. Yeah, actually I tried out for the team to play last semester, and then I went to my second round, and then I got like ankle injury. Yeah. I could make it because in high school I used to play for my school team, and I brought a lot of trophies to my high school where I used to play. Because the last time the school got a trophy in basketball was 1994, and I went to that school in 2015. We started getting trophies. Yeah. It was a big difference. 2015 many trophies, 2016, 2017, and 2018. And I've been getting trophies because when I was there, I was really focusing in raising a team. Because you know, when you lead, you can make big achievements, but when you left, there will be that big gap, it will come back again. So I was really thinking the future of this school, the school team. So I recruit many students, I train them, and I lead by example. Because when you're teaching something, they like to see what you're doing. I would run many kilometers. Sometimes I would be the one. The first time I started, it was me running alone every week. And then one teammate joined. They keep coming until it became the whole team and we started winning. So So I didn't like basketball so much. I have memories with it. I got education through basketball. So if any of you play basketball, call me sometime. And you hear my other name from the court. That's PC.
Okay, well, maybe this could be the last thing, but can you talk to them about how you go back to the camp and what you do when you go back to the camp, the refugee camp?
Okay, I know I can easily identify with people in the camp, and I really know what they really need. And what I wanted to teach is training them and also giving them more information on leadership and how to live a purpose-driven life, fearing Christ. So when I first went back to meet my siblings, I carried out a program called Transformational Leadership Program, where I budgeted for 100 students, but when I went, more than 700 turned out, at least 750 students. But I accepted them. I said, "It's Lord," and I preached to them and teach them more about leadership and how to live in the face of struggle that they might be going through and turn them into the stepping stone toward the success. And it was productive. I selected leaders, and this time I went back home this summer, and I did it again for 2 weeks, and it was attended by at least 1,000 students, or many of them, including parents. Yeah, and I was preaching to them about God.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Is there another question? Okay, thank you so much, and may God bless you.